Only Monday, and it's already a tough week for the Trump administration, seeing as their once trusted allies over at Fox News have opted to jump ship, it appears, seemingly admitting catastrophe over the war in Iran and its consequences right here on U.S. soil.
I will unleash energy independence, and we will bring the price of gasoline down immediately. So we're going to get your gas prices down, and we will, ready, drill, baby, drill. My plan will cut energy prices in half or more than that within 12 months of taking office. It will be an economic revival of our country like no one has ever seen before. Energy was what caused our problem initially. Energy is going to bring us back. That means we're going down and getting gasoline below $2 a gallon.
President Trump just posted this on Truth Social, saying short-term oil prices, which will drop rapidly when the destruction of the Iran nuclear threat is over, is a very small price to pay for USA and world safety and peace. Only fools would think differently. Today, a gallon of gas is costing Americans $3.47. A week ago, it was about $2.99.
Along Iran's southern coast, the Strait of Hormuz is at a virtual standstill due to the threat of attacks. That has led to a nearly 50-cent surge in U.S. gas prices in just the past week, and drivers are starting to take notice.
It was quite a bit higher than what I was expecting. It's crazy high.
Between my husband's truck and my car, we're well over $300 a month in gas.
At work, I make around like $18 an hour, and that's not even a full tank. It's like 2 hours at work is one tank. All my money has been going to gas.
Today was kind of a big sticker shock.
It's getting tougher and tougher to live.
But before we get to that, the literal fake news network were forced to apologize after they attempted to manipulate coverage of a dignified transfer ceremony where the remains of 6 U.S. service members killed in the Iran conflict were returned to the United States. You see, at the ceremony, Donald Trump drew criticism for wearing a white USA baseball hat during the solemn tribute, something that critics said broke with the traditional decorum expected at one of the military's most sacred rituals. But during Fox News' coverage of the matter, they instead aired video from a completely different dignified transfer ceremony, one from months earlier showing Trump without a hat.
Vice President J.D. Vance and Secretary Lady Usha Vance attending a dignified transfer to honor the final homecoming of the 6 U.S. service members killed in Kuwait. The solemn ritual returns the remains of troops killed in action. It is considered one of the most somber duties of a commander-in-chief.
The clip was presented as footage from the current event, and it meant that viewers saw Trump saluting fallen soldiers without his baseball hat. But users online quickly picked up on this attempt at manipulation, and it triggered criticism. And after the discrepancy was pointed out online, Fox News issued a half-assed on-air apology saying that archival footage had been pulled by mistake and used during the broadcast. That's right, by mistake. Let's keep in mind, this is the same network that once tried to spin Donald Trump's economic disaster as a good thing, seeing as it helped in bringing back around Hamburger Helper.
All right, Adam, thank you very much. Before we move on, we want to acknowledge a mistake made earlier on our program. During our coverage of yesterday's dignified transfer, we inadvertently aired video from an older dignified transfer instead of the ceremony that took place yesterday. We deeply regret the error and extend our respect and condolences to the service members' families. We honor the sacrifice of those 6 American heroes. They are Captain Cody Cork, Sergeant First Class Nicola Moore, Sergeant First Class Noah T. Chins, Sergeant Declan Cody, Major Jeffrey O'Brien, and Chief Warrant Officer 3, Robert Marzon.
And it doesn't end there. While the economic impact of the Iran conflict is becoming impossible to ignore at this point, with global oil prices surging past $100 a barrel, driven largely by disruptions to shipping routes and oil infrastructure in the Middle East. At Fox, they're performing next level verbal gymnastics to try and make it seem like, one, voicing opposition to the fact that our taxpayer dollars are funding another war while Americans are struggling at home and now having to fork out more for gas. Well, that's actually helping Iran if you do that.
Real quickly. Yeah. I understand that the Democrats have their own political spin on this, but I think they should be careful about some of the talking points that they were releasing. They're talking about the oil prices and the way that it's going to impact and that the president can't last too long. That is exactly what Iran wants to happen. Part of their strategy of this is the propaganda machine that's going out there saying these things. And they believe that if they could get the prices of oil up, that the president would have to draw from the conflict. So just careful, guys.
Right. And he said this.
Before then going on to say that if you were a true patriot, you would just barrel those tankers right through the conflict.
Here's exactly what he said. These ships should go through the Strait of Hormuz and show some guts. There's nothing to be afraid of. They have no navy. We sunk all their ships. He went on to say, he said, look, yeah, there's risk in the region. The region's volatile. They are loyal.
And then, according to guest hosts and the energy secretary, it's just a small price to pay for peace, according to them.
Senator, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
And I want to get your take on all this. $1 billion a day. Oil prices up 27% in a week. You've got the president wanting a $1.5 trillion defense budget in 27. The idea that the Pentagon is about to come to you for $50 billion on these strikes to Iran. How are you going to answer?
Best money ever spent. Was it worth to America to take down a religious Nazi regime who's trying to build a nuclear weapon to deliver to America? That's a really good investment.
Yeah, look at all this liberation we are seeing across Iran. But in a series of television appearances, the energy secretary, Wright, offered a striking explanation for this spike in oil prices. According to him, the surge isn't about supply disruptions, geopolitical instability, or the war itself. It's about fear. Wright argued that rising prices are being driven by market psychology and perception rather than actual shortages of oil or natural gas. In other words, the markets are panicking. But he didn't go on to explain why they're panicking. Because, well, we're being helmed by an administration that can't even agree on whether it's a war or not, let alone understand the consequences, it seems.
Just had an important series of votes on the House floor. As you know, the War Powers Resolution failed. That is the right result. We are not at war. We have no intention of being at war. The President and the Department of Defense have made this very clear. The Department of War has made it very clear.
We may have casualties. That often happens in war.
I don't know if this is technically a war.
We didn't start this war, but under President Trump, we are finishing it.
This isn't a war. We haven't declared war.
The Secretary of Defense, who calls himself the Secretary of War, said today this is a war.
We set the terms of this war from start to finish.
Nobody should classify this as war. It is combat operations.
War is hell and always will be.
Strategic strikes are not war.
I guess the Congress people that you saw in that clip are all convinced that it's not a war because that would mean that they would have had to have done their job beforehand to authorize this. But it does seem like we're in a war.
But there's no getting away from the fact that the war with Iran has already disrupted key parts of the global energy system. Shipping traffic through the Strait of Hormuz, which carries roughly 20% of the world's oil supply, has been severely affected by military activity and security threats. And the result is exactly what economists came to expect. Supply uncertainty has caused a spike in prices. And it's a direct result of American foreign policy, despite what every Fox guest is trying to say. They can try to manipulate footage or run cover for the president, but the American people are clearly seeing what is happening and they're not happy as a result.
Going to get your energy way down. You're going to spend a lot less money for your gasoline. You have that special stuff. We will unleash American energy and bring prices way down fast.
What I do see is that the war is not going as Donald Trump had expected. And we can make that judgment because you just have to listen to his different justifications for the war. Is it about regime change? Is it about nuclear weapons? Is it about ballistic missiles? Is it about Iran being a state sponsor of terror? Is it all of those things or just one of those things? And his view has shifted, has morphed, has evolved over the course of the last week, which at times feels like a lot longer. So he clearly does not think this war is going as he expected. I think there was an expectation of a Venezuela part 2, a one and done, and in and out. Clearly the advice he was getting on that well off. He will be looking at the stock markets. He will be looking at the oil prices. He's been told for months to focus on the home front and not on faraway foreign wars. What's really, really interesting is that, as you saw there, his most loyal are taking his word for it at the moment. They openly admit they don't really understand what this war is about, but they trust him on it. But there's a large part of the population beyond that base who doesn't trust him any longer. He is losing them for sure. So I do think that his mind will be very, very focused now. He needs to find an off-ramp, but it's very hard to see what that now looks like. He can claim victory. He can say objectives met. He can say job done. That does not mean the Iranians will stop fighting or stop firing.
And that leads to a further point here, which isn't just about oil prices, right? It's the credibility gap emerging around them when global markets react to this war by pushing energy prices higher. And the administration that has caused this responds by saying that, well, it's just a small price to pay. And basically, you're an idiot if you're up in arms over it, then creates the impression that administration officials are trying to spin the consequences rather than confront them head on.
Love this video? Support independent media and unlock exclusive content, ad-free videos, and custom emojis by becoming a paid member of our YouTube channel today. You can also gift memberships to others. Let's keep growing together.